Hey everyone, my name's Dan and thanks for watching my video. This is my 4th week in training for the Community Game Jam where I'll have to create a whole game from scratch in a week, and that's starting this Saturday. This video will cover the final polishing I did on my game, as well as use the profiler to get better performance from it, and then publish my game to itch.io. So once I had all of my mechanics in of my character and the ghouls, that I then was able to fill out the level and really fine-tune how I wanted it to look. But perhaps the biggest accomplishment I did in polishing my game was going back and redoing my character. As I said in my other video, I did not like the look of it. It just was very weird. It literally was the first humanoid character I had made in Blender. So the legs were weird, the arms definitely were weird. Had a strange head. It just didn't sit with me, but I was able to go back, redo the arms, redo the legs, add some feet, make the head right, adjusted the body. I just made some small tweaks here and there that helped make the character look more like a person. When you needed to adjust something, you had to go in the wireframe mode and be very meticulous at what you were clicking on and not clicking on something elsewhere in the body, where if you started moving it, it would mess everything up. And on top of that, I also learned how to add color to Blender models, whereas before I didn't know how to. So that's why most of the models in my scene are very bland. And since I'm on a pretty tight time constraint, I really didn't want to go back and have to deal with all the other models that I made. So I really focused on making my character a lot better, and adding the color and changing the things really helped. I knew I only wanted to stay with the colors within the color wheel, and I made the colors based off of my daughter, where I thought of what would she like to wear and how would she like to look. And of course, when my daughter play tested my game later on, the first thing she said is I liked her dress. The next thing I did was fine-tune where the ghouls were going to be moving around and make sure that they were in their area and that all of the area at least were covered by them and there was no gaps in the area. Then polishing as much as I could, I built the game for the WebGL and found out that the game was very glitchy. It lagged a lot, so I had to go back and check on the performance. There were a few websites that talked about how to get better performance out of your game in general. Some suggestions I saw was to do the occlusion culling for your camera so that only the things in front of your camera were being rendered and nothing else, which helped a little bit, but then using the profiler showed me that I was using 46 milliseconds of things still lagging my game. And it was the first time I was using the profiler, so I was trying to figure out what everything was talking about. So I tried adjusting the tombstones where they would fall in the beginning of the game, and then once they touched the ground, they would stop moving. It took a few tries to figure that out, but once I had disabled the discrete collision detection on all the tombstones once they hit the ground, the performance of the game got a lot better. So once I was satisfied with the changes I've made and what the profiler was saying, I wanted to try out the WebGL build again. But when I did, for whatever reason, I noticed that the ghoul was missing its cloak, and it took a solid 3 hours of trying to figure out what was going on. But eventually I had to re-import the ghoul model from Blender as a FBX file and use the mesh renderer that it came with and replace the skinned mesh renderer that I had in my scene on the ghoul. Now with a completed project, I uploaded it to itch.io, and my first game was there for the world to see now. But even though it was working on my computer alright, there was still a little lag in it, and a lot of people told me that they couldn't play it on their computer because of the lag. So for the past 2 days I've been working on trying to make the game even more better in its performance, which involved breaking the ghouls up into 3 sections and only having one section of ghouls on at a time, and then as you progress through the level, the second group would get activated while the first group would be deactivated. But the biggest performance enhancer was to actually put the tombstones where I wanted them on the scenes and then get rid of the rigid bodies that every single one of them had. And so when it was all said and done, I was running about 3 milliseconds of fixed updates in the profiler compared to 20 or 30 milliseconds before. So now my first game, Ghoul Evade, is out there on itch.io. I hope you can go check it out and let me know what you think of it. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you were able able to learn at least something from these videos. And now I'm really looking forward to the community game jam, and I have a lot more confidence in actually getting a game done in a week. And just for fun, I had taken all of the video recordings of my computer while I was working and compiled it into one video and looked at the length of it. And in 24 days, I had recorded around 36 hours of screen time. So basically, in less than 1 week's worth of time, I was able to make a game. So I know that you can too, and I hope that you do, and that I've encouraged you at least a little bit. But thanks again, and take care.